A warm-up, then a cool-down on the way. I'm tracking a potential storm that could affect our travel plans next week.
What would you do in a sudden attack? Tonight, the $1 investment women can make to protect themselves in an attack. And bugs on a bus.
It's dirty. You're paying almost $5 to ride a dirty bus.
We're hearing from a rider who found herself surrounded by roaches. Fox 45 News at 10 starts now.
Off the top at 10, live pictures of downtown Baltimore. All is quiet now, but it may not stay that way much longer. A lot of you will be hitting the road for the holiday next week.
But the weather could cause a lot of travel trouble. Chief Meteorologist Vetus Reed joins us with a look at a possible winter blast. Vetus.
Yeah, we got to kind of keep an eye out for it because on Thanksgiving, it's a big travel day. And we're talking about just about a week, a little over a week away. So I'm tracking a storm. I look about 10 days out to see if there's anything that could potentially be disruptive for our holiday travel. Now, of course, Wednesday is the big day for traveling. Thursday is the holiday, but there could be some travel problems with some rain snow moving in from a storm that's going to kind of come down out of Canada over parts of the Great Lakes and Midwest. So first hitting the Midwest on Wednesday of next week, potentially, then moving its way overnight Wednesday night to Thursday on the East Coast. So it could create some disruptive travel across the area. So we have to stay alert to this forecast with the possibility for a Wednesday, Thursday arrival. Now, taking a look at what I'm talking about on the GFS, when we're talking about this model run, this is starting on Monday, Tuesday. Take a look at this area here coming down out of the Great Lakes. This would be into Wednesday and then Thursday. This activity in the form of rain, snow. It could be mainly rain across the I-95 corridor, but some areas could get some snow that will impact our travel. I'll have a closer look at this in my forecast coming up.
All right, Vetus, thank you. Keep track of your holiday forecast on your mobile phone. Download the Fox 45 weather app. Search for WBFF in your app store.
Breaking news tonight in Baltimore County right now. Police searching for the suspect who they say shot a person in Middle River. It happened on Compass Road East around 5:30 this evening. That's where we find Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell. And Alexa, you spoke with relatives of those involved?
Yes, Jennifer, off camera, and they tell me this person who was shot is a man and lives in this home. Police staying very tight-lipped about this case, as you can see, still here on scene now than more than 4 hours since this shooting happened. Right now trying to determine who shot this person and why. Officers were called to this home here in Middle River around 5:30 after reports of a shooting, and when they arrived, found one person shot. That person was rushed to the hospital. When we got to this scene, police were walking in and out of the front door of this home, surrounded by crime tape. Investigators also knocking on neighbors' doors, trying to get more information and searching the area with flashlights. Shortly after, family of the person who was shot arrived to the scene. They didn't want to talk on camera, but said the man who was shot lives here and some other people were here when this happened. Police not confirming that information tonight, but said they don't believe this shooting was random and there's no danger to the community.
This was a targeted crime, so I would say no. I think that there's a particular circumstances that led up to it, as far as we know right now.
Now, police have not yet identified the victim or provided an update on this person's condition, but again, police looking for one suspect tonight. Reporting live in Middle River, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. We have more breaking news tonight out of West Baltimore. An officer was hit during a traffic stop near the intersection of West Franklin and North Pulaski Streets in West Baltimore. The vehicle fled, running over the officer's foot. The injuries are not life-threatening.
Tonight, Baltimore City Police are still looking for the man who stole a car with a 1-year-old inside. The mother told us that she was unloading groceries from that car near the corner of Bel Air and Arizona roads when it happened. The mother immediately called police, but she told us she couldn't wait for officers to find her 1-year-old daughter. Instead, she and other family members started driving through neighborhoods and streets. She did not want to be seen on camera.
Every minute counts that she's gone. I don't want to keep sitting here, and even though they told me not to leave, I'm glad that I go with my instinct, and I'll deal with whatever comes with me leaving later, but there's no way I was ready to sit there and keep waiting.
Well, that mother's initiative paid off. Miraculously, the mother spotted her stolen car parked in an apartment complex about a mile away on Hamilton Avenue about an hour later. In Baltimore County, a family comes face to face with armed carjackers. The story of their escape, new at 10:30 tonight.
First on Fox tonight, roaches on a city bus. It was a dirty discovery caught on camera by one rider who found herself nearly sitting in a nasty nest of bugs. Our Keith Daniels is live in Northwest Baltimore with our exclusive story and reaction from the Maryland Transit Administration. Keith?
Well, Jennifer, we're live at the Mondawmin Metro Station, one of the city's busiest subway and bus transfer stations. But tonight it's one passenger's dirty bus ride that's grabbing attention. Brianna Reynolds is a daily rider on the MTA city bus. But Thursday night after work,
And then some of them were like sitting, they were going in and out the hole.
Reynolds' ride was like no other.
They were like crawling in that area, and that was the nasty part about it.
Reynolds says she got on the bus at York Road near Woodbourne Avenue. She was about to sit down when another girl screamed out.
She's like, no, don't sit right there. So I turned around and I pulled my earphone out, and I'm like, why? She's like, it's a group of roaches over there.
A dirty discovery on the city's red line. A roach-ridden ride.
So then I turn around and I look in the corner, and it's like a crease like this, and it's like they're just huddled, like a group, and it's disgusting.
Bugs on the bus. Reynolds snapped pictures with her cell phone, followed with a post on Facebook that soon went viral. We contacted MTA. A spokesperson responded with a statement that reads in part, "We routinely treat our fleet for pests and recently stepped up our treatments. Exterminators were out on some routes this past weekend." Still, for Reynolds,
You're paying almost $5 to ride a dirty bus. Like, why raise the price if it's not sanitary? I don't understand that people shouldn't have to pay money for something to ride like that.
well, Reynolds and the MTA, according to this statement here on the phone, are both urging riders to help out by not eating and drinking on transit vehicles. Well, live now in Northwest Baltimore, Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
All right, Keith, thank you. The officer who initiated the pursuit of Freddie Gray is now before a disciplinary review board. Lieutenant Brian Rice was the highest-ranking officer at the scene that day in April of 2015. Rice faces 10 administrative charges. Instead of seatbelting Freddie Gray in, Rice had Gray placed on his stomach inside the wagon while he was shackled and handcuffed. Gray died after suffering injuries to his spinal cord. Rice was found not guilty of criminal charges in July of 2016. But he could lose his job. It's been nearly 1 week since we got the news that the Target plans to close its store at Mondawmin Mall. But tonight, a group of public officials and citizens met to find out how they could try to keep the store open. John Rydell, live in Northwest Baltimore tonight, where dozens of people showed up at a community forum. Hi, John.
Well, Jennifer, a lot of folks still in a state of shock at what happened last week. So are public officials. But tonight, they are telling citizens that they're going to do everything they can to keep that store open. For those who frequent this Target, news of its impending shutdown came as a shock. Not only is Mondawmin Mall losing its anchor store, but more than 130 employees could lose their jobs.
But is it going to hurt them? The people who work in the area work for Target. I like to see them stay, but it's business.
No one from Target showed up at tonight's forum, but many residents voiced their concern about the impending shutdown. Councilman Leon Pinkett, who hosted the meeting, says he and others were caught totally off guard.
And if Target refuses to reconsider its position and decides to permanently close the Mondawmin location, then we as a community need to determine what our next steps are. This building cannot remain empty.
So was Bill Cole, who's president of the Baltimore Development Corporation.
The president, the mayor, and I had just met with Target in May of this year, and they never indicated that there were any issues with this store.
While Target officials say their decision to close the store is final, Bill Cole says Mayor Pugh has personally contacted Target in efforts to persuade corporate officials to keep the store open.
And we want to hold them accountable to make sure that they stay here in Baltimore. We're going to do everything we can to try to make them stay.
Now, again, Target still plans to shut down sometime in February. City officials say if that happens, they want another retailer to move into that building as soon as possible. We're live in Northwest Baltimore. John Rydell, Fox 45 News.
John, thank you. New tonight, Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore and his wife respond to the latest allegations against him. At a news conference tonight, Moore called the allegations made against him by a fifth woman a political maneuver.
And I can tell you without hesitation, this is absolutely false. I never did what she said I did. I don't even know the woman. I don't know anything about her.
He has never one time lifted a finger to me. He is the most gentle, most kind man that I have ever known in my life. He's godly. He's loving, and everybody in this community knows it. These are our church members. These are our family. These are our friends. These are people that know him just like I do. These things are false, and it's ugly. It's the ugliest politics that I've ever been in my life.
Earlier today, Beverly Nelson accused Roy Moore of sexual assault when she was a 16-year-old high school student and Moore was the district attorney. She says Moore touched her inappropriately when offering her a ride home from her job at a restaurant.
I thought that he was going to rape me. I was twisting and I was struggling and I was begging him to stop. I had tears running down my face. At some point he gave up. And he then looked at me and he told me, he said, "You're just a child." And he said, "I am the district attorney of Etowah County. And if you tell anyone about this, no one will ever believe you."
Nelson says Moore even wrote in her yearbook. Earlier today, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said Moore should step aside. Moore's response, McConnell should step aside because Moore says McConnell has failed Republicans. A full 90 minutes of news is just getting started tonight. More Americans dealing with a dangerous diagnosis. Tonight, we take a closer look at diabetes and why every one of you needs to talk about it with your doctor.
The governor says city school leaders need to be held accountable after our latest Project Baltimore investigation. And that's not his only gripe tonight.
I couldn't do it.
A Fox 45 anchor tests her skills against a would-be attacker in a simulated assault. Up next, see how she handled it and learn how you can fight back for $1.
Have you ever thought about what you would do if you were to be attacked, how you would respond?
You might think you know, but when it happens, everything changes. Megan Gillen found that out. She joins us tonight to show how to fight back. Megan?
It's a scary thing. I actually participated in this simulated attack to see if I could get away. We want to warn you that it was just a drill, but it might be difficult to watch.
In a matter of seconds, a peaceful run can turn into a nightmare.
Get off! Get off me! Help!
This was just a drill, a simulated attack. I knew it was coming, and I still couldn't get away.
I think I've always thought that I could do this, that I would be able to protect myself.
I tried everything you always say you're gonna do. Kicking him in the groin, the throat, the eyes.
I couldn't do it.
So where did I go wrong? For starters, I never heard him coming.
You can have headphones in one ear. At least you can hear around you. There's also headphones that are open headphones that you can still hear the surrounding.
Brian Kushner coaches Krav Maga and martial arts in Colombia. He saw a moment, a fleeting second. I could have done something, but I missed it.
The point where I thought you could have gotten up. Like, I actually thought you were going to get up, but you were more occupied with pushing away than you were to getting up. And you could have kicked him, too. Start using your legs. Use your power.
And then something changed.
I heard an attacker out of you. And then as it kept going on, your voice changed. You started to become a defender.
I stopped screaming. I closed my eyes. I felt like it was never going to end. And it only lasted 25 seconds.
And once you are attacked, you have to be the hunter because you have no choice. You have to win and get away. And you can't stop hunting. You can't stop going for those vulnerable points. You cannot stop.
So how do we win? It can be as simple as knowing how to fall.
If you tuck your chin in and you fall to the ground like this, and then you just start kicking, it'll give you time to get some space to be able to get up.
There's also a few things we can use to give us more time.
Pepper spray. You can also use this one, put your keys on it, and you can also hit somebody, poke them in the eye.
Other options, a running stick like this one.
You can whack somebody with it.
It's also a deterrent.
They're looking for an easy prey. And if you're running around with something that says, I'm ready to defend myself, as horrible as it sounds, they're gonna go after the next person, not you.
Armed with some new tips.
Let's do it.
We're gonna try this again. It wasn't pretty, but this time I managed to get away.
Without the mask, that would have been brutal. Her body was in the right position. Her hands were a factor with the stick. Her feet were a factor this time, so she definitely was in a way better position to get me off of her and get away.
But I did turn over at one point.
It's not going to be perfect. Every scenario is going to be different. There's always going to be different factors.
And it's going to be scary, but it's something we need to think about.
Being aware of your surroundings. And if you practice it over and over again, what would I do if? What would I do if? And then it just becomes habit, like anything else, then it goes away from paranoia.
When every second counts.
You practice it, practice it, practice it.
And be ready.
Once you're on the ground, you fight.
It's a truly humbling experience. You think that you can get away. You think, especially me, I knew this was coming. I was running down that trail, and I knew at some point the attacker's going to come out and get me. And I think that I was a little cocky. You know, maybe some of us like that are at home thinking, well, I know what I'd do. I'd kick them and I'd get away.
Don't be so hard on yourself. When reality kicks in, it's a different story. Don't be so hard on yourself.
And I'll tell you what, they talk about having some things to protect yourself. The running stick that we mentioned in the story, you can make your own, guys. This was something, a dowel rod. I got it at Walmart. It was this long, 97 cents. I cut it in half. It's now, you know, something a little more convenient to run with. And when you talk about a deterrent, you know, Kai, you said sometimes you walk with a stick. If you see someone with this, they might not come after you.
Right. And I think being aware of your environment, being aware of your surroundings, take out the earbuds, those things are all so important too.
It's huge. I mean, even being aware, I had a hard time. So you got to ask yourself, what are you going to do if? What are you going to do if? And then never, ever, ever give up. That was something he said, even if you can't fight back, if maybe, you know, you're not getting away, maybe you can keep screaming and someone will get alerted. So you might think, I'm not able to escape them, but you keep screaming, you keep fighting, and then help might get there.
All right, Megan, great job. Thank you for this important information.
Of course.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like we are seeing those temperatures cooling off a little bit out there as we go through the overnight. Today, not too bad. It was a little cool out there, but we got some sunshine and our temperatures reached in the low 50s. Now, we're sitting steady right now in Baltimore at 45 degrees, a few 30s to the north and west of the city, but it looks like we will continue to gain a little more warmth as we go through the dayside temperatures as we go through the next couple of days. So not looking bad as far as temperatures are concerned across the region. So radar satellite showing nothing going on right now. We are seeing dry conditions here. We'll continue to stay dry through the overnight. Tomorrow looks like we're going to get some more sunshine and our temperatures will slowly go on up, but we do have more cold air to deal with as we get towards the weekend. Our day planner for tomorrow looking at 8 a.m., 41 degrees to start us off. You need that nice little warm coat by the afternoon, only a high about 48 degrees. We'll get up to about 50 to 52 degrees in the afternoon, but as you see, it's plenty of sunshine. Looks like we'll hold on to some sunshine. There's a chance for some rain in the middle of the week and towards the end of the week. And I'm keeping an eye on next week, the holiday travel forecast. I'll have another look at that to see how we might have a little impacted storm coming our way. Back to you.
Vitas, thank you. We bring you more news than anybody else every day. Some local carjacking victims are grateful to the gunman tonight. What he did in the heat of the moment that has the victims counting their blessings.
He may no longer be playing football for the time being, but Colin Kaepernick is being honored by one of the biggest magazines in the country. Tonight, what GQ is saying about Cap.
Right after this break, more than 10% of Americans suffer from diabetes or pre-diabetes. And tonight's Sinclair Cares, we'll show you why you need to speak to your doctor sooner than later.
Fox 45 is working in partnership with our parent company, Sinclair Broadcast Group, to keep you informed about important health matters.
86 million Americans have prediabetes. That's 1 out of every 3 adults. The CDC is partnering with organizations nationwide to tackle this issue with diabetes prevention programs.
Michelle Marsh takes us to a YMCA in Washington, D.C. to reveal the 2 specific ways you can cut your risk of developing diabetes.
Just going to bring it straight up. Come back down.
Michael Fields is exercising more since receiving a daunting diagnosis.
My doctor just advised me that I needed to start changing my lifestyle, like I was pre-diabetic.
He also signed up for the YMCA's diabetes prevention program. It's for pre-diabetics who are 1 step shy of developing type 2 diabetes.
It's a 25 class support group, and we talk about various things from healthy eating, eating out, counting your fat grams, to stress levels.
The CDC-approved curriculum has two main goals: increase exercise to 150 minutes per week and reduce body weight by 5 to 7%.
You're down 23.2 pounds.
Since starting the program, Nancy Shaya says she's more aware of what she eats.
Focusing on what you're eating is the most important thing, where you know how many calories you're taking in.
And she's getting results.
The biggest result I've found is in my blood pressure. After starting to lose about 5 pounds, it started to become normal, and it's pretty normal now.
Research done by the NIH found this program can reduce new cases of type 2 diabetes by 58% and by 71% in people over age 60.
You do not want to rest on this. You want to make sure you turn it around, because very soon, and we don't know when, you'll begin to have the symptoms as well as begin to have diabetes.
But 90% of people with pre-diabetes don't know they have it. So when you visit the doctor, be your own advocate.
The patient should always ask, what are my numbers? Because pre-diabetes is asymptomatic, meaning you have no symptoms.
Michael is now motivated to take control of his health and encourages others to do the same.
If you have time to reverse diabetes or pre-diabetes, why not, take a foot forward and do it?
For Sinclair Cares, I'm Michelle Marsh.
Medical treatments for type 2 diabetes typically cost about $650 a month.
This YMCA's nationwide program costs $36 a month. Some insurance plans cover it, and they say Medicare is expected to start covering it in 2018 as well. Later in the broadcast, our Project Baltimore team hears from Governor Hogan on our latest investigation. Hear what the governor has to say about test scores and why he's paying close attention to our findings.
And later on Fox 45 News at 10, 2 years after the vicious terrorist attacks in Paris, we return to the scene of the crime to see what has changed.
He's sitting there with a gun at me as I'm grabbing him.
Under the gun, a couple talks about a crazy carjacking and what the suspect allowed them to take away.
And I'm looking at clear conditions on the radar as we go through the overnight. Temperatures will cool off, and tomorrow we'll see those temperatures back in the low 50s with some sunshine. I'll tell you when we're going to get rain again, and could we potentially see some snow for parts of the area next week, right around Thanksgiving. I'll have a closer look at that next in my forecast.
A carjacking in Baltimore County ends with a crash, and tonight police have 2 men in custody. 20-year-old Marquise Shaquan Mitchell is facing a long list of charges. Police say the second suspect will be charged when he's released from the hospital. But there's a bizarre twist to this story. As Kathleen Cairns explains, the victims say their attackers were compassionate.
It's like, I wonder what they dream about,
Ashley cuddles her 3-month-old son.
We went to Walmart real fast.
But these new parents had a new experience last night where they wish little Daniel had not been involved. It happened in this parking lot after a trip to the grocery store.
And that's when he started approaching me with the gun, just facing right at my face.
A carjacking.
I was just begging and pleading to just kind of just get my son, That's all I care about. I was like, I don't care. Just let me have my son. He's like, go ahead and get him. And I was like, all right, and I hurry up and open the door, and he's sitting there with the gun at me as I'm grabbing him.
At the same time, the baby's father asked to get the groceries.
Money's tight.
I don't know why.
Money's tight, and we couldn't afford to go out and buy new groceries.
The carjackers let them empty the car.
I think the fruit is over at her mother's.
They grabbed the food,
put the peppers in here,
formula, even a baby stroller.
One of them had to have been a father or something. At least the one that came to me.
The baby's grandmother says she's grateful.
And I'd like to think there was angels in that parking lot last night, because they were shown compassion.
I think we were extremely lucky.
I just want to say to them, thank you for not hurting my family.
In Essex, Kathleen Cairns, Fox 45 News.
A man suspected of robbing banks in Baltimore County dies in a house fire. The FBI's Violent Crimes Task Force was trying to track down a man wanted for 4 recent bank robberies in the Towson area. Last night, the task force tried to contact the suspect inside of a home in Rising Sun. Authorities say the man barricaded himself in the basement. The home caught fire, and he was found dead. The Maryland State Fire Marshal is investigating the cause of the fire.
Former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick is named GQ magazine's Citizen of the Year. The editors say he earned the honor by kneeling during the national anthem in protest of racial injustice and police brutality. Kaepernick recently filed a grievance against the NFL owners, accusing them of colluding to keep him out of the league in retaliation for his outspoken views. New information about allegations of overcrowding at a Baltimore City elementary school. A parent at Bernard Harris Elementary snapped this photo, saying there were more than 50 students in the classroom. Chantrice Reeves says there were more kids than desks, forcing some to sit on the floor.
You have some kids that are on different levels, and you can't appease all kids because you have this whole big setting where you're trying to squeeze everyone in.
Well, in a letter on Friday, the school's principal told parents a second-grade teacher had been replaced and blamed budget cuts for the change, saying the school lost $198,000. However, the school system responded today, saying the teacher-student ratio for this second-grade class is 1 to 25, saying there has never been a class size of 55. The school system also clarified that statement late this afternoon, saying 2 second-grade classrooms do combine for about an hour for reading and math. The statement also said while that larger class could number as many as 50 students, there are 2 teachers instructing those students.
The results are outrageous. Those powerful words coming from Governor Larry Hogan in response to a Project Baltimore investigation that found 13 Baltimore City high schools that last year did not have a single student proficient in math.
Project Baltimore lead investigative reporter Chris Papps broke this story on Wednesday. And Chris, the response from not just the governor, but our viewers has been incredible, right?
Well, Kai and Jennifer, absolutely. When a third of all the high schools in a city do not have any students proficient in math, it's almost too hard to believe. But our investigation found that is the reality in Baltimore City. Governor Larry Hogan didn't hold back when reacting to Project Baltimore's latest investigation.
0 people proficient. I mean, that's outrageous.
Fox45 analyzed 2017 state test scores released this fall and discovered of Baltimore City's 39 high schools, 13 had 0 students proficient in math. Within those 13 high schools, which included Frederick Douglass, Patterson, and Carver, 2,071 students took the test. None were proficient.
And as you well reported, we spend more money in Baltimore City than any other jurisdiction in the Maryland, 2 or 3 times more. And if we get 0 proficiency, you know, the taxpayers are not getting their money's worth. We've got to hold them more accountable.
The governor is not alone in wanting accountability and better results. Hundreds of you shared this story on Facebook and Twitter. Hundreds more commented. Victor wrote on Facebook, "Murders at an all-time high. Overdoses at an all-time high. It's obvious to people who have been in charge for years are not doing their job. When will someone care?" Scrappy Big Bird wrote on Twitter, "Absolutely embarrassing. So what are we spending $1.32 billion on? It's an obscene amount of money." Also on Twitter, Truth Speaker said, "This has been going on for decades, which is why the cycle of violence and poverty has no end in sight." As for Governor Hogan, he said his office has been in contact with Mayor Catherine Pugh. A forensic state audit on city schools, which Hogan requested, is currently underway. The first results could come as early as January.
The students are really the ones that are being cheated. They're the ones that deserve to get the education that, in some cases, they apparently are not.
Project Baltimore has reached out to the teachers union, city council, the mayor, Congressman Elijah Cummings, and our 2 U.S. senators asking for their thoughts on this story and what should be done. In the coming weeks, we'll let you know what they had to say.
Well, Chris, now that the governor has spoken out about this, have you gotten any more reaction from the school district and any follow-up to the questions you've been asking?
Well, as of tonight, they've still only received that statement from the district. We've still asked for a sit-down interview so someone can explain a little bit more about what's going on and really who is responsible for this. Now, that statement they did give us is on our website. You can head there, foxbaltimore.com, and click on the Project Baltimore tab. And as always, we do want to hear from you. What do you think about this story? Does your kid go to one of these schools? Contact us, call our hotline, send us an email, go to foxbaltimore.com to follow our progress. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, once again, we're keeping an eye on a situation for next week. And it's a big week because we have Thanksgiving coming. So lots of folks do traveling on Wednesday. And then, of course, the holidays on Thursday. But I'm tracking a storm that could potentially affect that travel, possibly. And I put the word possibly, but I'm giving you a heads up just because I'm going to show you what I'm looking at to give you a gauge of what you may be looking at for next week. So possibility of some rain and snow as we get into the middle of next week. It will first affect the Midwest, which a lot of transferring airports are in, such as the Detroit area, Cleveland, the Midwest over towards Pittsburgh. These areas could be impacted with the snowier part of this. And then, of course, the East Coast, more of the rain-snow mix that could affect the eastern seaboard as we get into late Wednesday night, Thursday. And I'm going to time that out for you. Travel disruptions are possible, but this would be a Wednesday, Thursday thing at this time, the way it looks. So let's look at what I'm looking at. Now, the GFS is a model run, and this is showing that energy coming down out of Canada. You can see it here making its way through Chicago and affecting parts of Michigan, through Columbus, Ohio, and then into the Baltimore area. Now, I paused it here on Wednesday, 6 p.m. You can see that it's in the form of rain and then probably rain-snow mix back to the west and some snow behind that. Now, depending on how much or how much moisture this can work with, of course, this can all change. We also have a little bit of a coastal disturbance that is forming. Now, the storm could get a little stronger and move up the coast, affecting the eastern seaboard. Now, it could be just all rain for us, but still it'll slow things down and be disruptive. Now, if it's more colder, some areas that would probably get more of the snow would be to the west of Baltimore. But this is 10 days out. I'm just letting you know that there's something I'm keeping an eye out for, and every day I'll keep you posted as it develops or breaks down and it lessens the potential. So we'll keep an eye on it for you for the next several days to see if anything turns up with this that you may have to adjust your plans with travel next week. Looking at the sky cam outside, we can see right now we're looking at 45 degrees Inner Harbor after not too bad of a day with some sunshine. Winds out of the west at 3. They'll calm down through the overnight. Looking at 39 in Westminster, 37 in Bel Air, a little cooler there. Elkton coming in at 38 degrees, 45 in Stevensville, and down in Annapolis along the water, 43 degrees. We can see that there's high pressure building in. That's going to keep us nice, dry, and clear as we go through the next couple of days. But behind that, we do have a little moisture that's going to work its way in, giving us a chance for some showers as we get towards the middle of the week. You can see that for tomorrow. We're starting off the day nice and clear at 8 a.m. The winds are coming in out of the north as we come home at 5 p.m. Nice and dry still for Tuesday. As we get into Wednesday, the first part of the day looks pretty good. Here comes the next front over parts of Michigan. As we get into the evening, still dry, but late overnight Wednesday night, we have this system that's going to give us maybe some showers Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then it tapers off and we get more sunshine Thursday afternoon, then into Friday. And then as we get into Friday night, Saturday, here we go, next system that's pushing in from the northwest. It looks like Saturday could be a little bit of a rainy day with the next system. So your extended forecast tells the story here. 50 degrees tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, sun and clouds on Wednesday, 52. That late night rain Wednesday night into Thursday morning, tapering off with some sun afternoon on Thursday, 57. Looking at 51 on Friday with some sunshine. Saturday, we could get a little rain, 57 degrees, and we could get some rain possibly on Sunday. A few snowflakes might try to come out a few of those clouds on Sunday afternoon at 44 because our temperatures get colder on Monday, 45. And next week looks like a little bit of a colder week that we might be dealing with. And like I said, I'll continue to track to see if that storm may or may not affect us as we get into the middle of next week. Back to you guys.
All right, Vitas, thank you.
Many of you are sending us your pictures as the seasons change.
Rudy sent us this picture from Dundalk of the autumn leaves in the neighborhood. A beautiful picture there. Remember, you can always send us your pictures and videos. Just open up your Fox 45 News app and click See It, Send It, and we might show them live during our newscast.
President Trump's newest cabinet nominee has some strong ties to Maryland. Find out more about the man tapped to lead the Health and Human Services Department.
2 years after a series of terrorist attacks in and around Paris, we remember the victims. We revisit the city to see what's being done to prevent more attacks.
Somber anniversary today in Paris, where it has been 2 years since a night of terror attacks at a concert hall, soccer stadium, and cafes. So how has France and the United States had to change everyday life as a result? Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman was recently in Paris and shows us.
It is a city that 2 years after those horrific attacks that killed 130 people and ushered in a new era of terror is still trying to recover. At the Bataclan Theater, an emotional, optimistic performance from the band playing during the assault.
This is just a testament to the resolve of a community that is determined not to let the bad guys win.
Though that's not to say it is worry or incident-free. Attacks with trucks and cars like the one in Nice, France, are nearly impossible to defend against. Armed guards are more visible around major attractions, and we showed you during a recent assignment for Full Measure in Paris, an 8-foot bulletproof glass wall is about to go up around the Eiffel Tower.
When you walk up, you're going to see the barrier, and you're going to know this barrier's there for a reason. Sign of the times.
Here in the United States, there's also been a transformation of attacks. Shocking many when a man drove a truck through a crowd of bicyclists in New York last month. And venue security is under higher scrutiny after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. Americans are continuing to adapt, often after seeing what happens in Europe. Barriers both in practice and in politics. President Trump linking looming threats to immigration, while some Parisian street corners we showed you this fall were inundated with refugees.
There is a concern among some that this could have a destabilizing effect all across Europe.
Of course.
You think so?
Of course. It has already. And everyone has to take its parts. And probably tomorrow you'll have these questions in the States.
In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
Fox 45 roundtable discussion on the state of America, tackling everything from terrorism to tax brackets. See it Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on foxbaltimore.com.
Possible presidential candidate Governor John Kasich of Ohio spoke to a packed crowd at Johns Hopkins University this evening. He took some tough questions from the students and told the young voters in the room that the two major political parties are in danger of not attracting them as supporters.
I mean, my party worries too much about the right. The Democrats are moving so far to the left, I don't know where they're going to stop. And they're going to have to get their acts together because you're up for grabs.
Well, Kasich has been a consistent critic of President Donald Trump. Since he ran against him in 2016, he has not confirmed or denied any plans to run in 2020.
Hundreds of Catholic Church leaders discuss key national issues here in Baltimore at the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Church leaders are calling for ways to advocate for immigrants. Bishop Joe Vasquez of Austin, Texas says there's still a great deal of fear among immigrant Catholics.
They're very much concerned. Will I be separated from my family? Will my children be taken away from me?
Well, bishops here also address gun violence, with Cardinal DiNardo saying juiced up military-style weapons should be banned.
A native of Maryland's Eastern Shore has been nominated as President Trump's next Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. Alex Azar previously worked for the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly and served in the George W. Bush administration. Azar would replace Tom Price, who resigned in the scandal over his use of private planes during his time as Secretary.
Time for a detailed look at your weekend forecast.
Here's Chief Meteorologist Vitas Reed. Vitas.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to continue to see some dry conditions leading us for the first part of the weekend. Friday, it looks like some sunshine, 51 degrees. Saturday, we'll see temperatures go up a little bit, up to about 57, but we have a front coming through. That's going to give us some rain showers, about a 70% chance for that. So Saturday, maybe indoor plans you may be thinking of ahead of time. Maybe lingering a little bit into early Sunday morning. Our temperatures drop from 57 degrees down to 44. There could be a few snowflakes you may see from some of those clouds. There'll be broken clouds. Sun's going to come back up, but the winds are going to be blowing down out of the Great Lakes. Could be some lake effect snow showers up over parts of Ohio, Pennsylvania, but some of those flakes might make it down into the Maryland region. So we'll keep an eye out for that, but nothing of any significance. So it looks like kind of a up and down temperature weekend for our forecast. We'll continue to track what's happening for next week and your holiday forecast coming up.
All right, thank you very much, Vitas. Just open up your Fox 45 News app and click See It, Send It. We might show your pictures or videos. By the way, do you know someone who's making a difference in the community? You can recognize their efforts by nominating them for Fox 45's Pay It Forward. They could win $500. Go to foxbaltimore.com and click on contests to read the rules and tell us what someone is doing to improve the lives of those around them. Coming up in 10 minutes on the late edition, first on Fox, a woman talks about a disgusting discovery on her MTA ride. It's enough to give anybody the heebie-jeebies.
And new developments on some breaking news from earlier in the hour. A shooting at a Baltimore County home. We're live with the latest.
The break is over, and now it's time to get to work. John Harbaugh on getting his team back from the bye. Next in Sports Unlimited.
The break is over in Owings Mills. The Ravens left town last Wednesday, but tomorrow the work resumes. They're now out of the bye week and then will hit the field to begin the second half of their season tomorrow. After losses in 3 of their last 4 games leading into the bye, Coach John Harbaugh wanted them to get away from the game for a while to decompress. But as mentioned, the break is now over. He expects them back tomorrow and ready to work.
Guys are starting to trickle in and work out right now and get in the training room and things like that, and we'll be practicing tomorrow. We'll start installing for Green Bay tomorrow. We've been looking at the Bears game mostly today and tying that into our game plans, and we'll pretty much have our game plans together for tomorrow's practice.
The Ravens made a roster move today. In a mild surprise, they released this guy, veteran running back Bobby Rainey. They made the move to clear a roster spot for offensive tackle Andrew Donnell, who was released by the Rams Saturday. That means an offensive lineman will have to go later this week when Danny Woodhead is activated off the disabled list. This was Rainey's second stay with the Raven. The highlight this time was that 96-yard return for a touchdown that you just saw. To the college game, and a pretty tough decision for Navy coach Ken Niumatalolo. His starting quarterback, Zach Abey, was injured last week, so in stepped this guy, sophomore Malcolm Perry, and all he did was rush for 282 yards and 4 touchdowns in his first ever start at quarterback as the Mids beat Tulane. But he's got a sprained ankle, and Abey, who he replaced, has been having shoulder problems. If both can't go, Garrett Lewis will get the start. Keeping track? Maryland's women's take on the defending national champions. That's at 11:30 as Sports Unlimited continues.
Barbie introduces a new model in its Shiro series. Why she's making history for the company.
Believe it or not, maneuvering among Democrats has already begun for the presidential election in 2020. Who are some of the potential nominees? Let's take a look. There are some familiar names in the Senate, such as liberal senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Kamala Harris of California and Cory Booker of New Jersey are younger senators widely seen as angling for the nomination. Among governors, Terry McAuliffe of Virginia, also a former chairman of the Democrat National Committee, is a name that keeps popping up among political insiders. Former Vice President Joe Biden says he's not closing the door on a 2020 run. Biden will be a few days short of 78 years old on Election Day in 2020. Lastly, Hillary Clinton. I am not joking. I believe that the book and the accompanying tour are all parts of yet another attempted comeback. Would the Democrats really do this to themselves? The facts suggest so. Just look at the hyperventilation among establishment Democrats in response to Donna Brazil's allegations about troubles with the Clinton campaign and with the candidate herself. Here's the bottom line. I expect the debate stage during the 2020 Democrat primaries to have over a dozen candidates on it, unlike the coronation, which was the 2016 Democratic contest. The Democrats cannot allow for their nomination process to have any semblance of being rigged if they want to continue to be relevant as a national party.
Mattel unveils a new Barbie in honor of Olympic fencer Bitahaj Muhammad.
Last year, Muhammad became the first American Olympian to compete while wearing a hijab. The one-of-a-kind doll is the newest inductee into the Barbie Shiro series, which honors women who break boundaries. The new doll, which is the first Barbie to wear a hijab, will be available starting next year. First on Fox tonight, roaches on a city bus. It was a dirty discovery caught on camera by one rider who found herself nearly sitting in a nasty nest of bugs.
Keith Daniels is live in Northwest Baltimore with our exclusive story and reaction from the Maryland Transit Administration tonight. Keith?